Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Okay. So we'll move on to the fourth module. Before just going into this, I want to tell you that what exactly the fourth module is about. So you have the first chapter relating to point sources and arrays, where you will be studying about the introduction of point source. What are the power patterns? And there is a theorem related to power, which is power theorem, radiation intensity, arrays of two isotropic point sources, where you will be considering 2 point sources and you're going to derive 4 different cases. And those 4 different cases will have again problems related to that. Again, linear array of isotropic point sources of equal amplitude and spacing. Again, here also you have 3 to 4 cases. Here you will be again deriving for those cases, as well as you have certain problems related to that. Then in the fourth module, you have the second chapter, which is electric dipole. So in the electric dipole, you will be studying the introduction initially, what is actually an electric dipole. Then short electric dipole, field of short dipole. And we have seen yesterday, in the third module, radiation resistance of short dipole and lambda by 2 dipole. The same radiation resistance derivation you're going to study here. Now here you have again, everything is with respect to your derivation. You're going to derive the electric field and magnetic field here. So that is what about the fourth module. So before we go into it, we'll just see the introduction part of the fourth module. What do you mean by point source? Any idea what it can be? Point source. Okay. Now, whenever we say an electromagnetic source, so an electromagnetic source, or we call it as an EM source. So this EM source will be able to radiate the electromagnetic energy. And this source which is able to radiate your electromagnetic energy, this is considered as a point source. So what happens when you consider this as a point source is the dimension of this point source will be a point in a space. That what it means about a point source. A source or a EM source radiates electromagnetic energy and can be considered as a point source when it has a dimension of a point in space. So in this space, actually it will be very small. So that radiation of the electromagnetic energy, which is seen as a point source, which will be having the dimension of a point. So in the space, so it is called as point source. Similarly, corresponding to the point source, you have broad source. Now, what is broad source is? It becomes, or broad source is nothing but which is having a greater dimension than a point source. Now, a broad source, if you are considering it as a point source, a broad source, it will become a point source when the distance of observation is large. For example, you can consider, see if you consider your aircraft, when you see from the place where you're standing, and if it is above the, it is flying the above, so you can see the dimension where you're considering that particular aircraft as a point source. Suppose it is in front of you. Suppose if you see it in the airport, so you can see how much huge the airplane is. So that is a broad source. Aeroplane is a broad source. But if you see that aeroplane in the larger distance, it can be considered as a point source. So a broad source can be considered as a point source when the distance of observation is large when compared to the physical dimension of the source. So that's how you consider a broad source as a point source. Now here you have certain points to remember. That is certain, you have certain notations. So you have to remember it. The first one, we are talking about isotropic radiator or an isotrope. What is an isotrope is, if you have a point source, if I consider here, it will emit the radiation uniformly in all the directions. So an isotrope emits the radiation uniformly in all the directions. So that is called as an isotope radiator or an isotrope. Or if this is an antenna and this is radiating energy in all the directions, then you can say this is an isotropic antenna. So the radiation pattern here, since it is radiating equally in all the directions, you can consider this particular pattern of an isotope as a sphere. So the radiation pattern of an isotope is always a sphere. So if an isotope is considered to be at the center of the sphere, so this is an isotope which is considered at the center of the sphere. So whatever the values you take, it can be your electric field intensity or the power density, it will remain same at all the points on the surface of the sphere. Isotropic radiator or an isotope is a point source which will radiate energy in all the directions. Since it is equally radiating in all the directions, the pattern can be considered as a sphere, and whatever the electric field intensity, power density are there, those will be having the values on the surface of the sphere. Now, if a lossless, or if you consider it is giving you equal radiations, so you can say that here the loss, or it is called as a lossless radiator, because energy is radiated equally in all the directions. So an isotope is a lossless radiator which can be used for, so if it is lossless, you can use it for practical antennas for measurement purposes. So since you are using it for practical purposes, the isotropic antenna can also be considered as a reference antenna. And since you are considering it as a practical purpose, now the efficiency, if you see, it will give you 100% efficiency. That is, total input power is equal to the total radiated power. Is that okay? What is an isotropic radiator? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Now coming to the point source. So in the point source, if you are defining in terms of antenna a point source, it is defined as an antenna. Now, you know, point source can be an isotrope. So you can say that it is defined as an antenna which can be an isotrope, as well as it can be an unidirectional, or it can be a non-directional. For non-directional, you also call it as omnidirectional, which has zero volume in the free space. So that is in terms of your antenna. If you're defining your point source, it can be an isotrope, or it is defined as an antenna which can be isotrope. You know, isotrope is nothing but it will radiate uniformly in all the directions. It can be unidirectional, or it can be non-directional or omnidirectional, which has zero volume in the free space. So it is also called as, your point source is also called as zero volume, means it is volumeless and it will radiate. So it is volumeless radiator. Your point source is also called as a volumeless radiator. Now you are defining a power pattern for this point source. So to define a power pattern for this point source, you have to consider a point source placed at the center of a spherical coordinate system. So if it is a sphere, you're considering at the center, you're placing a point source, and it emits, you know, point source is an isotrope. That means it has to emit radiations in all the directions. And the rate of change of energy. What is rate of change of energy? Basic question it is. Rate of change of energy is what? How do you define watt?
Power, ma'am.
Power. Rate of change of energy is power. So the rate of change of energy, which is called as power, and the time rate of change of energy is nothing but power per area, or power per unit area, or you can say it as flow per unit area is also fine. So both the cases, that is rate of change of energy, you call it as power. The time rate of change of energy flow per unit area, you call it as a power density, or power density is also called as Poynting theorem, which is watt per meter square, Poynting theorem. So that is given by an equation. We already know this equation. S is equal to E cross H, where you substitute for h as e by z naught. So it is e square by z naught. We have seen this in module 4. So the Poynting vector is given by an equation. S is equal to E cross H, which is equal to E square Z naught. So here for a point source. Now when you consider the point source, only the radial component will exist in the point source, because when you consider a sphere, you have equal radiation. So it is, if I take, it is R, R, R everywhere. So in a point source, a radial component, which we take it as SR, of a Poynting vector, which is S, that will exist. There will be no direction or component with respect to theta and phi. Very important point you have to remember in point source. A point source will have only the radial component SR of a Poynting vector S, whereas no component either theta or phi direction will exist. So you will have S theta, which is equal to S phi, which is equal to 0 in case of point source. So the radial component is called as this SR, which is called as radial component. This is also called as average value of Poynting vector. So SR is called as average value of Poynting vector, where average value, we write the equation or multiply the equation usually by half. So it is average value is taken as half into E square by Z naught, which is SR. Just a minute. Okay. So average value of your radial component is SR is equal to half into E square by Z naught. And the values of S theta as well as S phi is equal to 0 for point source. So an isotope emits radiations in all the directions. So therefore the value of SR is same, but it will be independent of theta and phi. Now if you are drawing the graph for the variation of radial component of Poynting vector, that is SR, and with respect to the angle functions, that is theta and phi, then you call such a graph as power pattern. That is graphical representation of SR, the graph showing the variation of radial component SR. This will have a constant radius R, and this radial component along with the function of theta and phi, if you're drawing the graph, that is called as power pattern. And the three-dimensional pattern of an isotropic, source is sphere. Whereas two-dimensional isotope of two-dimensional is called as circle. So this is two-dimensional pattern of a sphere or an isotrope. So if you draw it in an isotrope in a three-dimensional, that will be sphere. If you draw the isotrope in terms of two-dimensional, it will be circle. And one more point to remember here is isotrope, you cannot realize it practically because all the antennas will be directional in nature. So a source, now if it is considering a source which radiates non-uniformly in different direction, for that you call it as anisotrope. Isotrope is which will radiate uniformly in all the directions. Anisotropes is which radiates non-uniformly in different directions. So again, there are two types in this. So once again, I'll just summarize the concept. So if you're considering the first one, that is power pattern, you have to consider a point source which is placed at the center of your sphere or a spherical coordinate system. So it will emit energy in the all directions because it is a point source. The rate of change of energy, you call it as power. The rate of change of energy flow per unit area, you call it as power density or Poynting theorem, where it is given by an equation S is equal to E cross H is equal to E square by Z naught. Now for a point source, only the radial component will exist, which is taken as SR, and there will be no components along the direction of theta and phi. So S theta, S phi will be equal to 0. And the radial component here is also called as average value of Poynting vector, which is given by an equation SR is equal to half into E square by Z naught. An isotrope, it will emit radiations equally in all the directions. So therefore, the value of SR will be same, but it will be independent of theta and phi. So the graph showing the variation of radial component of Poynting vector, which is SR, at a constant radius R as a function of theta comma phi is called as power pattern. So the three-dimensional pattern of an isotrope is a sphere. The two-dimensional pattern of an isotrope is a circle. And here, if it is not radiating uniformly in all the directions, then you call such an source as an anisotropic source or anisotropes. Fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now coming to anisotrope, you have two different types of anisotropes. So the two different types of anisotropes are called as absolute power pattern, and one more is called as relative power pattern. So the first one, it is absolute power pattern, and the second one is called as relative power pattern. So these are the two types of anisotropes, means it will not radiate equally in all the directions. Now, SR, it is nothing but the Poynting theorem, which is a radial component. So this SR is usually expressed in watt per meter square unit. If SR is expressed in watt per meter square, then the resulting pattern, you call it as absolute power pattern. Simple definition. If you're taking the radial component, if it is represented in terms of watt per meter square, then you call such a pattern as absolute power pattern. Now, if the SR is expressed in terms of its value or in terms of its reference value. So if SR is expressed in terms of its value in some reference direction, you're considering some reference direction, and based on that, you're defining or expressing the SR value. Then you say that particular pattern as relative power pattern. For example, if the radius is SR, that is SR is the value and its maximum value is SR by SRM, where SRM is the maximum value of the radial component vector. So SRM is nothing but it is SR with a maximum value. So SR by SRM is considered to be the radius and of a Poynting vector. So the maximum value of the relative pattern here, if you take, it will be 1. So since it is something divided by its maximum value, you can also say it is a normalized pattern. So relative power pattern is also called as the normalized power pattern. If you are drawing the figure for absolute power pattern, so if this is a three-dimensional pattern of a sphere, and theta and phi should be 0, this is your maximum value, which I take SRM. So this is SR radius. So this is something where SR is considered to be the radius, and you're directly representing that SR as a radius. So that is absolute power pattern. Whereas when you come for relative power pattern, SR by SRM is the radius. So here you have theta is equal to 0. SR by SRM will be the radius. So in such case, so this will have a normalized value 1. So this is called as relative power pattern. So the only difference is SR will be remain as a radius and it is represented as watt per meter square. Whereas when you consider relative power pattern, you are representing the SR in terms of normalized pattern. So those are the two different types of anisotropic power patterns or anisotropic sources. The next topic is important one. You are studying about a theorem called as power theorem. Power theorem and its application will be usually asked. And here you have to understand the statement of theorem. Now, what does a power theorem says is, I'll tell you in a very simple way. You need to understand it, imagine it. So usually the theorem statement, it states that if Poynting vector is known at all the points, so you have a Poynting vector S, if it is known at all the points on the surface of a sphere. So if it is sphere and you have a Poynting vector, which is defined at all the points on the surface of the sphere, which is having a constant radius. That means you have a radius defined which has to be constant for whole sphere, which shall be taking it as R from a point source. So you have a point source here, which shall take just like this, PS as a point source. From a point source in a lossless medium. Now the medium what you take is lossless. Then the total power radiated. You have to consider the total power. Total power radiated by a source is integral over the surface of a sphere. You know, surface of the sphere will be double integral. You have theta and phi variations. So I'll represent it as integral as double integral. So integral over the surface of a sphere of a radial component of Poynting vector. Radial component, you know, it is SR dot ds. So this is the equation of the power theorem. It states that if a Poynting vector what you take as SR, it is known at all the points on the surface of the sphere with a constant radius R from a point source in a lossless medium, then the total power radiated is taken as integral over the surface of a sphere of a radial component over a Poynting vector. Usually the general definition of power theorem is actually double integral S into ds. But here when we consider S, only the radial component exists, that is SR. So it is SR dot ds. So consider this as equation 1. Now here ds, you know, it is a very small incremental area of a spherical coordinate system. P is the power radiated, which is in watt. SR is the radial component of Poynting vector, which is nothing but volt per meter square. So now you have to write what is ds. You know, ds, there is an equation. Do you remember what is ds? Beam area we have written. It is something called as just r square multiplied to d omega. That is r square sine theta d theta d phi. So that is a small incremental area of ds. Now, you know, SR is independent of theta and phi. So write the equation substituting that ds. So you have double integral of power, SR into ds will be written as r square sine theta d theta and you have d phi. Now we can take out SR from the integral outside because SR is independent of theta and phi. And now you need to integrate this. That is r square. This is a double integral. Just a minute. So this is double integral of r square. What is sine theta d theta d phi? What is sine theta d theta d phi? D omega. You have to study the formulas. So this is, make it as second equation. Now if you integrate this over the surface of a sphere, so what you will be getting? What is the integration of this over the total surface of a sphere? You remember the first one we have solved. Integral over d omega of a sphere will give you 4 pi. So this will be r square. The integral over d omega is 4 pi of a sphere. So you get the equation as power is equal to 4 pi SR into r square. This you can try it later. This you have done in the beam area. So I'm not doing it again. Take this value, integrate it, sine theta d theta d phi, integral over the surface of a sphere. So you'll get it as 4 pi. Or you check in the beam area derivation, we have done this. So it is 4 pi SR into r square. Since we need to write the equation in terms of radial component SR, it will be P divided by 4 pi r square. And you know the radial component has to be represented in terms of watt per meter square. So power is watt. This is area. So it is meter square, which will be considering it as third equation. Any confusion in deriving? So this is what you have to derive for power theorem. If you don't understand, I'll explain you once again. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now we'll move to the next topic, which comes under the power theorem, which is called as application. So you need all these equations 1, 2, and 3. You have applications of power theorem where you have one application to study of a power theorem, which is called as radiation intensity. So that is what is the applications or application of power theorem, which is the first one, that is radiation intensity. So here, you know, radiation intensity is nothing but power radiated per unit solid angle. The definition remains the same as it is there in the third module. So it is power which is radiated, the ratio of power radiated per unit solid angle. So if you are writing the equation or writing the unit, it is watt per SR. That is SR, don't get confused with radial component. Solid angle unit is sterradian. So it is power radiated is watt. Solid angle unit is sterradian. So it is watt per sterradian. Now again, radiation intensity, we know it is independent of radius. So it is power per sterradian. Now you have to write the equation for this. Radiation intensity is always represented as U. And you have here is power per unit solid angle is nothing but 4 pi. This 4 pi, again, don't get confused. It is double integral of d omega will give you 4 pi. So here, unit solid angle is nothing but over the surface of a sphere, which is 4 pi. So power per unit solid angle, which is equal to, you know, the power equation, that is from equation 3, if you take equation 3, you have written SR is equal to P divided by 4 pi R square. So write the equation in terms of P. So P, it is SR into 4 pi R square. Substitute it here. So you will have 4 pi R square into SR divided by 4 pi. So 4 pi gets cancelled. You will have the equation for U, that is radiation intensity, as SR into R square. So substitute this above equation, that is U, in the equation 2. So equation 2, if I write here, you have written it as P is equal to S double integral SR into double integral of R square d omega. Now you know P is equal to double integral of SR into R square d omega, which is P is equal to double integral of SR into R square is U. So substitute it here, U into d omega. So the power equation, that is total power radiated equation, is integral of radiation intensity over the solid angle of 4 pi sterradian. Again, this also can be simplified. You know, double integral of d omega is nothing but 4 pi. So it is P is equal to 4 pi U or U naught. If I consider for U isotropic source, I'll consider it as U naught. So it is power is equal to 4 pi U naught, which is in watt. Or if you're writing in terms of U naught, it is power divided by 4 pi, which again satisfies your radiation intensity equation, power per unit solid angle. So radiation intensity, it is defined as power radiated per unit solid angle, which is watt per sterradian. Radiation intensity is independent of your radius. And here you will be writing the equation for radiation intensity as power per solid angle is 4 pi. Substitute for power from equation 3. So it will be 4 pi R square into SR. 4 pi gets cancelled. You'll have SR into R square. Substitute this in equation 2 for SR into R square as U. So you'll have power is equal to double integral. That is total power radiated is integral of radiation intensity over the solid angle, which is 4 pi sterradians. So for isotropic source, if you are writing the equation, substituting d omega as 4 pi, you will have P is equal to 4 pi U naught, which is again U naught. If you write, it is P by 4 pi. Clear? Take down a problem regarding this. A short dipole antenna with hemispherical radiation pattern, a short dipole antenna with hemispherical radiation pattern has an average power density R cap A naught sine square theta by R square watt per meter square unit. A short dipole antenna with hemispherical radiation pattern has average power density SR is equal to R cap A naught sine square theta R square. Find the first one, radiation intensity. You elaborate and write it. Radiation intensity. Second, maximum radiation intensity. Third, radiated power and directivity. Radiation intensity, maximum radiation intensity, radiated power and directivity. What is the notation for radiation intensity?
U.
U. So from the power theorem, you have derived an equation, that is U is related to radial component as SR into R square. That is from the application of power theorem, you will get this equation. So you are going to find out the first term, that is radiation intensity. To find out that, first write the equation of U in terms of SR. That is U is equal to SR into R square. Now substitute it. SR is nothing but R cap A naught sine square theta divided by R square into R square. So your R square get cancelled. So you'll get the radiation intensity U as R cap A naught sine square theta. So this is the first part, solved, radiation intensity. The second thing is you need to solve maximum radiation intensity, which I'll take it as UM. How to solve it? You have U given. You need to find out what is maximum radiation intensity. What can be done? This is a value of U. How can you take its maximum value?
By integration, ma'am?
No, not integration.
Taking theta as maximum.
Theta as?
Maximum.
Maximum. What is the value of theta here so that it will become maximum?
90 degree.
90 degree. So consider theta is equal to 90 degree in UM equation. And this is nothing but the vector. So this vector you can take unit vector to make it into maximum value. So if theta is equal to 90 degree, we get the maximum value of radiation intensity because we know sine 90 is nothing but 1. So R cap is a unit vector which you can take the maximum value as 1. So U becomes UM when you substitute it A naught sine square theta, which is nothing but A naught sine 90 will be 1. So it is UM is equal to A naught. So this is how you get maximum radiation intensity. Clear these two parts?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The third one, it is about radiated power. Now power means you have to do the integration. That is, you know the equation of power radiated. You have derived it in the power theorem. That is double integral of U into d omega. Or if you are writing the normal splitting, the equations phi is equal to 0 to pi, theta is equal to, so here theta will be equal to 0 to pi, and you have U d omega is sine theta, d theta, d phi. Now substitute the u value what you have in that radiation intensity what you have found out. That is 0 to pi. Theta is equal to 0 to 2 pi, 0 to pi. U value is r cap a naught sine square theta into sine theta d theta d phi. Now take out what are the common constant terms. R cap you can take out, a naught you can take out, and bring the terms, phi terms and theta terms. Here you have d phi. This is theta is equal to 0 to pi. This will be sine cube theta d theta. Now apply the formula of sine cube theta and solve it first. We have already done such kind of problems. What is sine cube theta? What is sine cube theta?
3 sine theta minus sine 3 theta divided by 4.
Yes. 3 sine theta minus sine 3 theta divided by 4 into d theta. So this is r cap a naught. This, if you apply the limit, it will be 2 pi. Take the 4 outside, integrate it. Integration of theta is equal to 0 to pi sine theta d theta minus integral theta is equal to 0 to pi sine 3 theta d theta. So this is r cap a naught. You can cancel this 2. That's pi by 2. And this now sine theta integration is minus cos theta. Apply the limit 0 to pi minus sine 3 theta will be again minus cos 3 theta by 3. Apply the limit 0 to pi. So this is r cap a naught by 2, 3 minus cos pi. Cos pi is minus 1. Minus into minus will be plus 1. Again minus into minus will be plus. Cos 0 is 1. Minus. Here 1 by 3 you can take it outside for time being. What is cos 3 pi? Minus 1 or plus 1?
Minus 1.
Minus 1. So you have minus into minus plus 1. Minus into minus plus cos 0 is again 1. So you'll be left out with the value that is r cap a naught by 2. This is 2 3s are 6 minus 2 by 3. So you have 6 3s are 18 by 3 into 16 by 3. We'll have 16 by 3. 2 8s are 16. So you're getting the power radiated as 8. I think I've missed pi somewhere. Take this pi. Somebody has answered. Check. So it is 8 pi a naught divided by 3. You have r cap unit vector, you take it as 1. Take the r cap unit vector as 1. So you get power radiated as 8 pi by 3 into a naught. Is that clear? Integration part, power radiated. How to find out the directivity here? What is the formula of directivity? Put it here itself. So directivity is equal to 4 pi um divided by power radiated. Substitute it and tell me how much you're getting. 4 pi um power radiated. How much is the directivity?
1.5, ma'am.
1.5. You will get actually 3 by 2 um by a naught. But you know, um, you have done it in the second parameter. What you should find out is um value from the second thing, that is maximum radiation intensity. You have got it as a naught. So a naught gets cancelled. You will get the value of directivity as 1.5. So the power
R
pattern.
cap will be 1, ma'am.
What?
R cap will be
Yeah, R cap you can take it when you solve the power radiated itself. Take it as a unit vector. So take unit vector R cap is equal to 1.
okay.
So the power pattern here, which can be expressed in terms of radial component, Poynting vector, here you can either express in terms of SR or you can express in terms of radiation intensity. If you replace SR with U, the radiation intensity, or SR with UM, you will get the power patterns in terms of radiation intensity.